you for coming to our positive parenting workshop this afternoon. I know it's an extremely hot day out there today, so we do appreciate you coming in. Enjoy the air conditioning, that's free, we won't charge you for that. There is food and drinks, we won't charge you for that either. So enjoy your time here, ask lots of questions, and if you've got questions at the end that you would like to follow up with myself or Miss Leslie or Miss Joanne or Miss Amy Woollerton, who's our inclusion manager, we will all be available at the end. So welcome. We have no planned fire alarms this afternoon, so if we do get one for unexpected reasons, just follow one of the members of staff and we will escort you to safety. So welcome, my name is Mr. Matthew Parker. I am the Director of Student Wellbeing here at Harrow Bangkok, and I look after all of our students from our Lion Cubs right through to our Year 5s. But I'm not a parenting expert. So that might disappoint some of you, and some of you might want to leave now. That's okay, I will not find offense. But the reason I say that is because I don't think there is anything like a parenting expert. Why am I not a parenting expert? Because I don't live in your homes. I was not raised by your parents. I do not look after your children at home. So I can't claim to be an expert on how to parent your child, because I don't know how your parents parented you, and I don't know how their parents parented them. And all of these small steps that grow in to how we organize and how we run our families impacts on how we parent our children. So I'm not a parenting expert. I have 2 children. My children are 11 and 14. They go to Harrow, they're in the upper school. They started here at Harrow 8 years ago in the Early Years Centre. So what we're going to talk to you about this afternoon are experiences, developmental norms, some parenting styles which we might recognise, and we're going to be joined by Miss Joanne Van Werber, who is our school counsellor who works closely with our lower school students, and she's going to be speaking to you about the types of things that you should be expecting to see in your children. They're called developmental norms. We all want of our children, and we all look around our classroom and compare our children. But we always want to know, or it's good to know, exactly what are the norms for that child. Are our expectations realistic? Okay, so Miss Joanne's going to talk to you a little bit about that today. So, I'm going to talk to you about parenting styles. We'll have some fun with that. Don't take it too seriously. It's a little bit of a nice way to start the afternoon. Developmental norms for children, as I said, with Miss Joanne. We're going to talk about some ways in which you can embed some of the things we talk about today at home. And then I'm going to do a small section at the end about connected parenting. Now, for some of you who have been to my wellbeing discussions in the pre-prep building, some of the content there you will have seen before. So I apologise for that, but I think it's good to go and revisit that. And then, as I said at the end, please do stick around, ask questions, and at any point in the presentation you have questions, please don't hesitate to pop your hand up and we will try and address those. The QR code at the beginning, that is a way that you can put questions in anonymously if you would like, and that will also come up at the end. We've got one. Excellent. Thank you. We've got one. Brilliant. Some of you have already taken the developmental norm handouts that we printed. Well done, thank you, that's great. Don't worry if you missed out, I did only print 10 because Miss Joanne will be sharing them with you digitally in the presentation. So I made those as a backup, but you've taken them already, so that's great. If you would prefer to have a paper copy than the digital copy, let me know at the end and I'll print some more. So, for those of you who've been to my presentations before, you probably will have seen this image. Schools have changed, parenting styles have changed, and children have changed, the way in which they interact with their grown-ups. I know when I went to school, this was very much the model my parents brought to me. It was my fault, and the teacher and the parent would stand together and they would ask the child what is wrong. But we have seen a change in education. I've been working now in primary education for 25 years. And it is starting to shift a little bit. I saw a few of you giggling when you saw that picture, and maybe that is resonating with you somewhat in the way in which we're now perhaps approaching the way we parent our children. But I said we'd start with some fun. I've got a little game for you here, okay? And we watch, parents, okay? Teachers, trust me, we watch. We watch all the time. We watch in the car park, we watch in the cafes. We're always watching, okay? So we see some of these things going on in our school, but it is, as I said, it's just a little bit of fun to start with. So, which type of parent resonates with you? We've got the helicopter parent. I'll come and talk about this in a minute. Okay? Always there, just in case. But then we also have the lawnmower parent, who will just mow down any problems that are in your child's way to make sure that their little Johnny is okay and just going to potter through life without ever having any problems. Yeah, I can see some of you giggling and some of you laughing, so that's okay. It doesn't matter. Of course, neither of these might resonate with you as well, and that's fun. But helicopter parenting and lawnmower parenting do come with their challenges. Okay? But what both of them have at the center is that you as a parent are trying to do the very best for your child. So we cannot detract from either of those styles. The motive for both of those styles is to do the very, very best for your child. So we'll just explore them in a little bit more detail. So, helicopter parents. Constantly supervising or correcting. Always solving the problems for the children, so they don't ever have to solve the problem themselves. Organizing and controlling which friendship circles your child should be in. Constantly worrying about your child's safety. I think that's natural to most parents. And then talking to your teachers and coaches over the minest and smallest of issues to make sure that that child doesn't have any problems in school. Now, they are some characteristics that some of you might recognize. But as I said at the beginning, all of those characteristics have your child's best interests at the center. The problem with the helicopter parent model is that can it create children that lack self-confidence because they never have to solve those problems themselves. It can create stress and anxiety in children because they don't have the opportunity to experience those moments of challenge, those moments of worry. It doesn't give them those communication life skills that they so desperately need at this age. Sometimes it can create conflict between you and your child because they resent you always trying to be there. Space. I have a 14-year-old. Miss Leslie has a 13-year-old. Trust me, once they get to that age, they want space. They want lots of space, and you try and bring them back. Okay? And then they don't have those coping skills when they get older, when you're not able to be there around as much as you are now, that they can't then make those decisions for themselves. So lawnmower parents, I saw some of you laughing about this one. Again, this is about you making sure that you remove every possibility of hurt, embarrassment, challenge from your child by just lawnmowing and getting rid of every possible obstacle for your child. The motivation for doing that is correct. Of course it is. We don't want any harm or any challenge or any upset to come to our children. The problem with being this type of parenting style, again, that child will have no way of coping with difficulties and challenges because they've never had to cope with anything before. You've removed all of those obstacles for them. They've never had to be resilient, solve a problem themselves. We'll talk about that later. If they never have any problems, and they never have any challenges, and they never have any conflicts, then what we find is that child, when something does upset them, they don't know how to ask for help because they've never had to. Decisions become difficult. There's no decisions to make following a law from a parent because you've made them all for them. They just follow. So as they get older, they find decision making quite challenging. Which then we know as adults, if there's no challenge, if there's no excitement, then there's no motivation. So we can see motivation drop off in children. And then obviously problem-solving skills is a big factor. Now I said this was a bit of a fun start to the afternoon, okay? And it is, it really is. But I just wanted to highlight those two as a start for this afternoon, just to reflect on how we parent our own children. I, as I said at the beginning, am not an expert. And I can absolutely, I'm in trouble with this thing, I can absolutely recognize elements from this and elements from this that I do myself. That I'm aware of it and I try and catch myself when I'm doing it. And it's hard because no parent wants to see their child upset, struggle, have difficulty. But the importance of our children actually having those moments in their life is hugely important. Hugely important. I use this picture as a bit of an analogy. We need our children, well, we don't necessarily want our children jumping on this trampoline, but this is how we jumped on a trampoline. There was risk, there was danger, there was excitement. And we learned quite quickly what happens if you get your hair too close to one of these. It hurts. Or you get your skin pinched in it. This is what our children are growing up with now. No risk, perhaps less excitement, perhaps less broken bones, but it's just an illustration of the types of challenge and the types of experiences that our children are perhaps missing out on what we had, and the impact that that's having on them. This might look familiar to some of you. Playgrounds that we used to play on. Completely removing any chance of risk or danger or fun for our children. I don't know if any of you remember going down one of these slides in summer in shorts. You never forget it. You've probably still got the scars on the backs of your legs. Swimming. Another one. We seem to get very caught up and very protective of our children swimming. But how many of us make sure our children have a seatbelt on every time they're in a car? Where's the risk? Yeah? So it's just something to consider. Where are we prioritizing the risk for our children? What is good risk? Yeah, this is good risk. This is safe. Yeah? Not such good risk. Find the balance that works for you as a family. Find the balance that will support your child. Okay, I'm going to pass over to Miss Joanne Bonnuevo. She is our lower school counsellor. She's going to speak to you this afternoon about the developmental norms for the children that you have. We've got children here as young as 2 up to 18. We're going to be focusing on the early years phase this afternoon. Just got to pass over a microphone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi again. My name is Joanne, and I am a whole school counselor here at Harrow. For today, as mentioned, I will be discussing or talking about developmental norms. But just adding to what you guys have talked about before this, I will be asking you guys a question. Okay, ready? Humans only learn whenever we're feeling safe. Let me know if it's a yes or a no. Humans only learn when we're feeling safe. Give me a thumbs up if it's a yes. Give me a thumbs down if it's a no. Yeah, it's inconclusive because each and every one of us as parents have different approaches. We have different perspective on how things are. Sometimes we feel that the best way that our kids can actually learn is when they are feeling the best that they are, when they're feeling safe. But actually, just to define it to you guys, I will quote someone, so please don't quote me here. Safety is not the absence of threat. It is the presence of connection. So this is what the information that I will be sharing to you guys this afternoon. It's more of like an information that you can use for you to better understand and learn how to connect with your kids. Awesome. All right, so first I will be defining social emotional development. This is, will we be sharing the slides? Okay. So we will be sharing to you guys the slides afterwards. In my slides, you can see that there's actually a link at the bottom, and I highly encourage for you guys to actually click on them once you have a chance, because you will get more information when you click on them. So I will be just defining social emotional development. Social emotional is defined here as it refers to individuals interacting with one another and to manage their emotions and navigate social situations. It does not only apply to kids, it also applies to everyone else, to us as well. Next one, please. Next one is development. So this is just from the dictionary. Development is defined as, it refers to the steady growth of something so that it becomes more advanced, stronger, or etc. And of course, to just fully define the whole thing, it would be social emotional development. Social emotional development refers to a set of skills that describe the emerging capacity to experience, regulate, and express range of emotions. Now, when we are experiencing a range of emotions, it doesn't automatically mean that we're already comfortable with them, especially with our kids. Our kids are only meeting themselves when they're happy. Probably one of the first emotions that they will be having, happy. And then later on, when they were still a baby, you will recognize, oh, they will start crying. Why do you think is that? We're not really sure what kind of emotion did they have. But what I can tell you maybe is because they're feeling uncomfortable. And so as grown-ups right now, I actually don't define emotions as something bad or something good. I define them as something comfortable and uncomfortable. And so these emotions that our students, our kids, are experiencing as of the moment, they are the emotions that they will share to you when they get home after school. And when they get home after school, you would probably hear that, oh, a classmate of mine, this one kicked me, or this one punched me, or this one pulled my hair, stick a gum in my hair. Anything under the sun that has happened throughout the day. And we will, the following developmental norms will just be information for you guys to use, just to emphasize, not to judge your kids or not to judge another student. This information, please use for you to understand so that you can understand how to connect with your students, for you to understand how to connect and understand why are they reacting like this at the moment. All right, okay, so next one, please. So in here, we've provided you with copies in 3 different languages. In this one, you can actually access a soft copy from age 3 until age 10. Yes. It's different from every age. Just a bit of a filler. It will describe to you why maybe it's helpful to understand why a 5 or 6 years old, it's very fun to hear them create these stories. But when they turn 8 or 9, it's scary. So this is more of an information that we can go through it further later, because again, each and every one of us has different perspective, can be different when it comes to approaches to our kids. So you can ask me questions afterwards when it comes to understanding what does it mean in this age group. Okay, and then the last thing that I will be talking about is the after school restraint collapse. Again, as humans, this does not only apply to students. Sometimes it also applies to us adults after work. But for them, this is what it looks like. It looks like a whole day filled with activities, demands, and probably instructions that we're not really sure yet how to navigate or understand. It could be another language. It could be a new skill. It could be another piano lesson whatsoever. So this is them basically coming home, and it looks like them throwing a tantrum, telling you guys that I've had a hard day, but they're not really going to say they've had a hard day. They're going to tell you, this person is mean to me, or I didn't like that class today, or I didn't like the lunch today, stuff like that. All right, any questions before I pass along the microphone, someone? All right, if you have any questions afterwards, you can approach me. Thank you.
I'm just going to question actually that came in, my only question of the afternoon, and it was about emotions actually, so I thought it might be quite a good point to kind of to answer it. So the question was about fluctuating emotions and how you kind of manage that, and actually you will find that as parents, that when your child is at home, like Joanne has said, it is a safe space, and often they'll just cry or be moody or whatever, and they won't verbalise at all what is wrong with them, like we would as an adult. And it is just a way of, their emotions are just a way of communicating with you. You just need to try and find out why. And it's really important that children are aware that having emotions is a totally normal human thing to do. We have emotions. Sometimes I get upset, sometimes I get moody, sometimes things irritate me. That's normal. That's what humans are like. So it's really important for us as the adult in a situation, as challenging as it can be, to try and remain as calm as we possibly can when our child is throwing a tantrum or is being moody or stubborn or whatever it may be. We need to try and be as calm as possible. And what I've said before in a previous session is, if you have reached a point as the adult where you can't be calm anymore, because again, we're human, we only have so many limits, if there's somebody else in the house who you can swap with, who can bring that kind of fresh, calm approach through, I would do that. My husband and I often take it in turns and tag team if something's going on in the house, so that we can approach it calmly. If you can during the event, so if they're having a bit of an emotional kind of episode, if they are calm enough for you to be able to say something like, I can see that you are feeling angry at the moment, that's okay. I can feel angry too as well. That's fine, no problem. What can we do to help? And like Mr. Parker said, sorry, earlier, we don't solve all their problems for them, but we want to help support them, so help them figure out what's the better way to behave. So kind of acknowledging the emotion and saying that it's fine, let me help you, can be a way to help. There may be an occasion though where there's no talking to them at all, and they just need to go through that emotion and go through that tantrum, giving them space, again like Mr. Parker said, so that they are safe but can cry and bang their arms on the floor and wriggle around and be emotional is fine, because you're there to support them, and just say that I'm here to support you. I can see that you're angry, that's fine. They need to kind of be able to learn how to self-regulate, so it's important that we support them. Definitely afterwards, it's really important again to talk to them about the emotions. So, you know, earlier on today you were really angry. Do you know why you were angry? Sometimes they might say yes, sometimes they might say no, because again, humans, sometimes we get angry for no apparent reason. But again, it's important to say, okay, well, this time when you did that, you actually hit your brother and that made them really sad. Like, what do you think you could do next time? What might be a better choice? And so you start to come up with strategies again. Or sometimes with my own daughter, who's 13, I used to come up with the triggers so I could see when she was starting to get angry. And we started to try and recognize those triggers. We started to identify it. I said, look, can you see that you're starting to get a bit annoyed? What did we say that would be a good idea for you to do this time? So you're kind of helping them come up with that way of responding to that emotion and knowing that that emotion is, as I said before, completely normal, and you're just there to support them. So hopefully I've kind of answered that a little bit, but if anyone wants to talk to me a little bit more about that, I'm really happy to do that after this session. I will.
No, that's perfect, because that actually flows quite nicely into what I'm about to talk about, which is about authentic connection with your students. And I will actually give you some steps. Again, apologies if you were at one of my previous presentations, but I will give you some steps you can take as a refresher on how to go through that process that Miss Leslie was just explaining about that, recognizing the emotion, identifying it, and then moving forward. So the biggest tip I ever got as a parent from a person, he wasn't actually a parent, he was a New Zealand teacher who worked in an all-boys school in the very rough area of New Zealand. It was a teaching boys seminar I did in my early years of education. And he posed this question to me, and I posed this to all of my teachers, but I think it resonated with me so much more after I became a parent. How many times do we remember to catch our kids being good? Okay? Picture this. You've got one child, maybe two children, maybe three children. You're sitting on the sofa or at the kitchen or at the table, and we're looking through our Instagram or our Line, or we're reading the paper, or we're reading a book, or we're doing something nice, and our children have been playing beautifully. For the last hour, you haven't heard a sound. It's been heaven. And then suddenly, one of them decides to pick up and throw a Lego brick, or decides to pull their sister's hair. And the first response, or the first interaction they have with you as an adult in the last hour, is you telling them off for being naughty. Stop pulling your sister's hair. How many times have I told you to stop throwing Lego bricks? But for the hour before, they've been playing beautifully and have had no feedback from you as a parent. Now, what does that teach our children? If they want feedback from you as the parent, go and pull your sister's hair and then mum will come up. So what we've got to do better, and what I've got to do better, and what I try and do all the time, and it's hard, is catch your kids being good. Because I promise you, they are being good most of the time. But we only really recognize them and catch them when they're doing something which we want them to stop. And I think that's one of the most powerful tools we can have as a parent, is this authentic connection where you actually spend real time talking with the children while they're doing something they love doing and while they are behaving in a beautiful, wonderful, child-focused way. Get down with them and enjoy that time with them. It's such a valuable moment, and they will understand and they will learn very quickly that they don't have to pull their sister's hair for mummy or daddy to come up and spend time with them. It's called authentic connection. And it's about making sure that you give yourself time. I know we're all busy people, but you make time to have these conversations with your children when you're not driving home, Yeah, when you're not in a busy restaurant, when you're not tidying the house, when you're not writing an email, you're just present and you are listening. And that's such a valuable thing that you can give to your children, is to give them your 100% focused attention. We're very good at multitasking. Yeah? We're very good at it. Yeah, we can drive a car while checking Instagram, while surveying. No, we would never do that. We would never do that. But multitasking comes at a cost. The more you multitask, the less focus you give on each thing. Yeah? And multitasking while parenting is really, really difficult. The children pick up on it straight away. Straight away. So, Miss Leslie was talking about what do we do when the child has these huge emotional responses. What that child needs to know at that point is that you understand that you're ready to listen and that you care about what's happening at that moment. It's really hard. It's really hard because when young children are screaming, it is very hard to think rationally. It's very hard to keep your emotions in check. But I want to show you what it looks like from a parenting standpoint. First thing to do, remove your distractions. If you are going to be supporting a child who is having an emotional response to something, make sure you don't try and address it while watching the TV, while on the phone, while driving, make time to deal with that emotion separate to everything else. Okay, make that authentic connection. And the first thing is easy. All you do is listen. Yeah? All you do is listen. Children are very good at telling you what happened. Yeah? They will tell you, probably for a lot longer than you wish they would, but they will tell you every single minute detail, and all you have to do is listen. Don't interrupt. Let them get it all out. Yeah? Just don't interrupt. And then make sure that they know that you understand that this is really hard right now. No child wants to hear, stop crying and get on with it. Yeah? Or don't worry about it, it's going to be fine. Children don't want to hear that. Children want to hear, I can see you are upset right now. I am here to listen. We can work on this together. That's what they want to hear. Because no matter how small that problem seems to you as the parent, that problem is huge to that child in that moment. So we need to bring ourselves down to their level. Yeah? We want to hear what they have to say, and we want to let them know that we understand that they are really upset right now, and I understand this is really big. The next bit is key. It is easier with older children, granted, than perhaps children younger than 2 or 3, but they can do it. And we do lots of work here at school about this. Help your child to label what emotion that they are feeling right now. Yeah? What is it that is making you react or feel the way that you are feeling right now? And really push on that. We do lots of work around emotion wheels at school. The inner ring are the really basic primal emotions. Sad, angry, surprised, happy, disgusted. They're kind of fairly basic emotions. Now when I work with the children I work with, if a child tells me they're sad, it doesn't help me to understand what we need to do to make them feel not sad. So we continue to ask questions. If a child tells me they're lonely, bing, I now have an avenue that I can help. Sad, too big. Way too big. Lonely, right, I know what I can do about lonely. Okay, let's now look at working on friendships. Let's have some play dates. Let's do this. Okay, so when we talk about validating their emotions, It's about trying to help them understand and give them the language to describe exactly what it is that's making them feel like that. Because if they're just sad or they're just angry, it doesn't give us anything to work with. Yeah? If we find out that they're sad because they're lonely, then we can work with the school and we can work with friendships and things. Last one, if we go all the way back to the beginning of this presentation, helicopter parents and lawnmower parents. Very important. Very important, very hard to do, very important. Ask your child if they want you to help them make it better. They might not. They might have just needed to get it all out and have a meltdown, and then they're fine. But don't automatically think, because we're the adult in the room and we've got our superhero capes on, that we can go in and save our children and we're going to make everything better straight away. Very important. Once you have identified what the problem was, do you want my help to fix this? And that empowers your child to have a decision at that point. No, I can do this on my own. It might be really big. No, I do need your help. Now again, with older children, if this works slightly better, but I've seen this work with children in the early years a lot. Yeah? And that is where we move away from that helicopter parenting, we move away from that lawnmower parenting, and we give our children the skills on how they can go and solve it. Because what happens if this whole process you've gone through it comes down to a situation between two friends that happened in the playground while playing on the climbing frame. If we go wading in as parents the next morning and we go, Miss Katie, outside, please. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. I want that child sent to there, and I want this done, and I want this done. Our children, our students, your children, have never even had that opportunity to rebuild that friendship themselves and solve that problem themselves. And that might be such a simple thing that those two children will go back into the school the next day. Problem fixed. Yeah? So we need to be careful. Ask the children, do you want my help to fix it? So very simple. Talk to them without distractions. Listen. Don't interrupt, just listen. Validate. Tell them that you understand that this must be really hard for them. Don't tell them, don't worry, get on with it, it's going to be fine. They don't want to hear that. Label the emotion. Ask them if they want your help. The last one before today, thank you very much. I know our students will be starting to come towards the end of their day, is vulnerability. This is a word that we use a lot with our older students, but it's no reason why we can't start introducing this concept to our younger students as well. We live in a world currently which kind of looks a bit like this. Yeah, this is what we post on Instagram, but actually that's what it looks like 2 minutes ago. Yeah. We have this idea that everything must be perfect and everything must look great. But our children need to understand that that's not always the case. That's not always the case. And talking to our children about times when you made a mistake. Talking to your children about things that you did wrong today. Talking to your children about the mistakes you made when you were at school. Don't go into too much detail. Go in to talk to your children about times where you found it. It can be things that happen in the workplace. It can be things that happen on your drive to school. It could be things that happen anywhere in your life. I think we need to get better at talking to our children about the things that we get wrong. Because we make mistakes all day. All day. But if we never tell our children about the mistakes that we're making, we never tell our children about the things that we find difficult, and oh yeah, I made this terrible mistake at work today and my boss got really angry. Children like these stories. You can make it into a joke with them, have some fun with them, but they need to hear that this environment that they come to school in and this world that they live in your family environment, it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you don't share the mistakes you make with your children, they won't know how to deal with that when they make mistakes. They'll think, oh no, I've made a mistake. We need to encourage mistakes. It says there at the bottom, I'm not talking about celebrating failure. Okay, we're not celebrating failure. What we're doing is we're normalizing the fact that things are hard and mistakes often get made. They are two very different things. So, emotional connection through authentic connection. Talk to your children about being vulnerable, asking for help, making mistakes. It's all part of your child being on their journey through our school. If you would like more information on any of the topics we've touched on this afternoon, at Harrow Bangkok Lower School, we work with a company called the Resilience Project. They're a fantastic company, and our children in years 1 through to 5 actually do a Resilience Project curriculum. But they have a website called the TRP at Home. It has information on there for parents, for students, for teenagers, for families, and for younger children. Activities you can do at home to talk, to encourage conversations around emotional resilience, about connection, about empathy. Also, gratuitous plug. Every 2 weeks in the lower school newsletter that goes out, I have a wellbeing page which I will continually update. Every piece of information that I've shared with families and parents is still on there. You just scroll down, it's got 2 years of content on there. There's lots of more information on there around things like connected parenting, vulnerability, so please do keep an eye on that. And if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, you can email me directly, follow up through the website, or ask on the QR codes. This is only the first of these workshops. We would like to make these more regular, but we would really like your input into what you would like future workshops to be about. As I said at the beginning, I'm not a parenting expert. You are parenting experts. You know your children, you know your families better than any of us ever could. So if there are themes that you would like to bring to these meetings and to discuss as a group, please share them with us, share them with Miss Leslie, email them directly to me, and we can work together and we can make these discussions really powerful and really bespoke to what you would like to talk about.
And just to follow up as well, our doors are always open, and please do feel free to speak to any of us. The core teachers as well are also very, very supportive, so please do feel free just to have open dialogue whenever things arise.
Okay. So thank you very much. If you would like paper copies of the norms, they're in Mandarin, they're in Thai. I will go and print some more of those now. I like having a paper copy. I'm a bit old school, sit on the fridge, quite like that. I will go and print some of those now. Fantastic to see so many people here. We didn't have enough chairs, so that's really exciting. We have been recording this, so again, this will be posted on the wellbeing page website, and we will share the slides with you all at the end. Okay. Yes. So we have, just final thing, obviously Miss Joanne is going to stick around if you would like to talk to her as our lower school counsellor. We have got Miss Amy Williston. She's tucked in at the back there. Miss Amy Williston. She is our manager of our inclusion program and does some amazing work with our children. She's also a qualified speech and language therapist. So if you've got any discussions or any conversations, particularly around speech, please do go and speak with Amy. I will stay as well, and Miss Leslie will be here. And we've got Mr. Paul Beach here as well. So if you have any questions for Mr. Beach, please do come. But thank you so much. Hop and cup.